And we are live
From California. It's
from
Tuesday night
California.
live.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to everybody. We are coming to you live. This is Live with Leo at 5, as we do every day at 5, Monday through Friday. And today I have super special guest. I am so excited because I hardly ever get to see her, even though we're only an hour away. And especially now, I definitely can't see her with all the quarantining that we have going on. I'm so missing all my friends. But she is a renowned personal chef, and I want her to just kind of go over, do some introductions for herself and tell us all about what she does. And then we will get into some deeper stuff on lifestyles, food, nutrition, all that great stuff. So take it away.
Hi everybody. So you might hear a little bit of noise because my dog is here and he wants food and I just gave him food. And sometimes I think like I work hard so my dog can have a good life. So he eats everything organic, grain-free, all the good stuff. So I am a private chef, so I do cook for him as well, but he doesn't pay that much, just a good tipper though. So yeah, I'm a private chef and a health coach. And right now I'm very lucky to have my clients and be able to help people remotely as well, coaching people because everybody's going through so much. And, a lot of people are cooped up in their homes and sitting near the refrigerator, standing near the refrigerator. I see a lot of memes about people eating. So I'm really happy to be of service to my clients who need food so I can cook for them. And then my clients who need coaching so that they don't overeat when they're at home alone. And I've been doing this for 10 years and I'm originally from Russia. And before that, my background is in fashion and marketing and PR. So I kind of went from creating things in fashion. I loved art, still do love art, and being an art major to being in culinary arts. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, food is the most important things in our lives. We have to eat every day, and we have only so many meals in our lives. We got to make every single one count.
Yeah.
And if it smells good, and if it tastes good, and if it looks good, then we're in heaven, right?
Yeah.
But I have to make a quick comment because your dog is literally the lucky dog.
He's a lucky dog. He is a lucky dog. You hear that? Yeah, he's a lucky dog.
I mean, who has, their own personal chef with them like 24/7?
I know, right? I know. He's lucky. For sure. I'm lucky too because I have him. So yeah.
Oh yeah. And we all love our dogs right now too. Right now in quarantine, we love food and we love our pets. And I literally started thinking about like, hey, it would be perfect if I had a dog right now. And I don't have time for it at this very moment. But as soon as like I get freed up, like I'm going to the shelters and I'm finding myself a dog. I already promised a friend of mine. So, so that's gonna happen. So you're from Russia, still have a little bit of accent, which we all love. So never lose that.
Thank you.
And you're doing your private chef, and so your transition, like you've been doing it for 10 years, and you definitely had a transition into, being a private chef, and no transition is ever easy. And so, talk to those people out there who like, I always dreamed of like being a chef. I want to be a personal chef. I just want to cook, beautiful, tasty things for the people that, I love and get paid for it. And so tell us, I mean, that sounds super glamorous. So tell us what your daily life is like, but more importantly, like how was that transition for you, and getting your first clients, and how was that experience, and into being, you're literally a celebrity. You do videos, you're out and about, you have great clients, all over I don't even know how many states, you're flying and stuff like that. But we always want to hear about like your journey into it to get to where you are.
Yeah. It's funny about transitions because a friend of mine posted today. No. So she didn't post. Um, she posted a couple of years ago on Facebook. So it came up in memories that she went vegan on this day. And she's like, going to give it a try. And now she's actually a vegan chef and she's been doing it for 5 years. She went vegan 6 years ago. And it made me remember my own journey of transitioning. And now I'm not vegan. I'm mostly veganish. They say, sometimes I eat animal proteins for my health, but that's a different story. But the transition, I was in marketing and PR, and I wanted to learn how to make food that was quick and easy because honestly, I did not like to cook. Like people laugh at me. They were like, you became a chef because you don't like to cook. I'm like, I didn't like to cook, yes. And so I wanted to learn to cook so that I would spend as little time in the kitchen and make food that was tasty and good for me. Because, I tell people I'm a food relationship coach, and people are like, what is food relationship? And you touched up on it. Like, you're in a relationship with food 3 times a day. You have an affair with somebody, with something, right? And it loves you or you love it, or sometimes it's a one-sided relationship where like, well, I love the whatever burgers, but burgers don't love you back, so you feel shitty afterwards. Like an abusive relationship. Or it could be a dependent relationship where you love the food. I mean, the food loves you, right? Like it's carrots and celery, but you're like, but I don't really love it, but it's really nice to me. Like it's really nice to my body, so I have to stay with it. That's not a very happy relationship either. So I was in that relationship. I went back and forth into like, well, I love the pizza and whatever, cheesecake, anything dairy and fattening and sugar. But that doesn't love me. So I got to go and like have my relationship with carrots and celery and salads, but I don't really love them. So it's like going back and forth. And finding that balance and finding that perfect partner in food where I can still have the cheesecakes, I can still have the pizza and the burgers. And so I went to nutrition school to learn how to do that for me, not for anybody else, but for me. And then I learned about raw food, where it's like, you don't even need to cook. Like you don't even need to bake anything, wait for anything, because patience is not my favorite virtue. And it's also good for you. So I'm like, okay, it's easy. It's no time required and it's good for me. It tastes great. Sign me up. So I went to a raw food academy again for me. And then I thought in that time, I was like, well, maybe I should see if I can start a career, because the first class in nutrition school, they talked about being able to help a lot of people. And it always been my desire to be creative and to help people. So I went into fashion because I'm like, I can make a better world, because people feel better about themselves when they wear something that fits them, right? And then when I was in nutrition school, I thought, wait a minute, I can help even more people, because so many people are suffering from diabetes and high blood pressure and cancer, and all of those things can be affected by food. I'm not I'm not saying that there's a cure all, but there's a big correlation between healthy lifestyle and not having a disease, or having less of the impact from the disease. So I went into that, and then I was like still doing it just for my friends and family and like teaching my friends. And then I thought, well, maybe I should charge for it because they're getting results. And I still had my job in catering company, although I worked remotely. So my transition was like, okay, let me just kind of tippy toe a little bit and have it more as a hobby and still have my job. And then, oh, but this is really helping people. And I'm really happy doing that. So let me go a little further. And then someone said like, oh, I want to write about you. I said, okay, great. And then I got clients, and then they paid, and then I had great results with them. And then someone else heard about me. They're like, oh, you had great results. Let's do this. And just one thing led to another. And I feel, everybody has different perspective in life, but I feel that if you're passionate about something and there's value to it, to people, it will happen. It will happen. Like things will happen to you, because when I have a ringtone, flash dance song, what a feeling is believing, take your passion, make it happen. And that has been my life theme. That's my song. That's my anthem for my life. And my father in Russia, when I was little, we were very poor, to a point like my mom had only one pair of boots and she could not go get them repaired in the winter because there was nothing to come back home in. And she made me soup from one onion, like that was the soup. And then we became multimillionaires because my father had a dream and he just invested a little bit of money, bought these old sewing machines, rented this old basement, and decided to, there's a need for people for children's clothing and it's not available. And I have a passion for helping people and creating things. And I'm just going to do it. And then he heard about a grant and then he applied for that grant. And then just he had other ideas. And that's my biggest advice to everybody, that if right now, okay, so one thing that I really want to share right now, actually just coming to me right now, a lot of people are sitting at home without having jobs, and it is what it is. It is what's happening, and some jobs are in jeopardy, not even being available after the lockdown. And so you have two choices. You have a choice of feeling bad and sorry for yourself because yes, it's a really bad situation. It's a really bad situation. Or you can realize that it's a bad situation and then realize that maybe that wasn't your dream. Maybe that job was not something you were passionate about. Maybe this is a gift to start over. And there's a movie, Up in the Air. Have you seen that movie?
I have.
Remember the scene where George Clooney is firing a guy and he goes, why don't you go into culinary arts? You never liked this job anyway. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, well, your resume says you were had a minor in French cuisine. That's your passion. And so if you don't have a choice, then you can create a choice. I feel there's so many people suffering right now, so many people suffering in so many different ways. And if you're passionate about some way of being of service, then go for that, help people with that. Because if you're not serving anybody, if you're not making somebody's life better, then you should really reconsider your job. And there's waiters and bartenders that I know are so passionate about their jobs because they love making a great experience for their customers. They love making drinks because of that passion. And they're not going to have any problem getting their jobs back. Right now just having a long vacation, but they so passionate about simple things. Or I had an acquaintance who was cleaning, like janitor kind of stuff. He was so passionate about cleaning that he created a multi-million-dollar corporation cleaning offices. So it's like you can take any job. And if you're passionate about helping people, and there's a great saying that your income depends on how many people you can help. The more people you can help, the more money you're going to make. So,
absolutely.
With me, that was my journey. I thought, how can I help? What makes me happy? And that's my pyramid, my triangle. Having a lot of fun doing what I do, helping a lot of people and making a lot of money so I can have more fun, so I can help more people, so I can have more money. And it becomes, because if I have more money, I'm able to invest in programs or help more people and do scholarships or whatever, right? So money can actually be a great tool to help more people.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I love that.
That's
yeah.
mine.
Awesome. I'm so glad you brought all those things up. There's so much great wisdom in there. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on is because you are the epitome of great entrepreneur. The kind of entrepreneur, like, I never knew that story about your father. That's, I don't think when we talked, you gave me that story before, but now it totally makes sense. My father did it. And so like it runs in the blood, he followed his passion, and was given the opportunity and he enjoyed doing that and made that multi-million-dollar business. And same thing with you. It's a bit of kind of like the book The Secret. I know
Yeah.
love it or hate it, it doesn't really matter. The ultimate message is really just like, hey, you got to follow the right instincts. We don't live like caveman world anymore, where if you did art, you're going to starve to death. We have so much opportunities here, especially in this country. If you're in this country, you're listening to this podcast, you have more opportunities than anybody's ever had in the entire history of people.
That's, I mean, you're an immigrant. You came here. You weren't born here. I'm an immigrant. I wasn't born here. I came to this country because it's a land of opportunity. And it's crazy that those people who are born in it, they're like, oh, this country is blah, 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 and talking bad stuff. I'm like, there's worse countries. Like, this is the country where if you have an idea, You create it, you know, in France and Italy, even like, oh, c'est impossible, it's not possible, you have to do the, you know, in America, there's a pandemic, people need masks. Oh, hey, I can sew, I can make masks, I can help people, and I can make money. Bam, there's a business. People sell out of making masks in this crazy situation because they help people, because they do what they love, and they are succeeding. It's a land of opportunity. It's a land of opportunity here. It's absolutely true. Absolutely.
You should do some entrepreneurial coaching, you know, with this.
Yeah, no.
You get to eat, and then you get to teach me how to make money.
You know what I want to say, like, for people who may be thinking right now, well, you know, my father was an entrepreneur and whatever. You know, there is a 4-minute mile story. The 4-minute mile, for those who don't know, that a long time ago, nobody could run a mile in less time than 4 minutes. And then there was one guy who broke it. And then everybody's like, wait a minute, I heard that guy did it. Maybe I can do it. So it's like, you can even hear somebody do it. It doesn't have to be your direct experience, but because it's possible, you know, it's possible for other people, it's possible for you, because, you know, pretty much everybody has the same opportunity. And you know what, also, like, I was going to say, like, you have 2 arms and 2 legs, you can do anything. And I thought, well, maybe somebody's listening, they don't have the arms, they don't have the legs. And I'm going to sidetrack really quickly. I was at an event and there was this man in a wheelchair with no arms and no legs. Like, he was, you know, was born crippled, right? And my first thought was, I'm so sorry for him. Like, I could not even look at him, you know, in the eye, because I felt so much sadness. And then it turned out he was at the same brunch. And then he was speaking, and I'm like, he talked about how his father read him Tony Robbins books about being unstoppable when he was a baby, because his parents were told he'll never live long. He's like 40 years old, 30, no, he's younger than me, 30 something. He's married, he has kids, he wrote like 3 or 4 books. He's a multi-whatever speaker, and he travels around the world. And I'm like, he doesn't have legs or arms, and I met him. You know, it's not like the Nick Jovovich or Vulovic who you see on the stage, but it's like a direct experience with somebody who was born in Brazil, this guy's from Brazil, with so much, you know, disability, and that you would think conventionally looking at it. But he made it happen because he had a passion. He's like, wait a minute, if I can do something, other people with 2 arms and 2 legs can do it. So it's like, anything is possible if you believe. I know it's like Disney, you know, anything is possible if you believe, but it's so true. That's why it's like a cliche, because it's popular, because it's true. So
absolutely. So like, if you believe it's impossible, then it's impossible.
Exactly. You know, who's it?
Right?
Is it Henry Ford, who said, whether you believe you can or you can't, either way, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I just, yeah, that's how I've been living, you know, and chances that I don't take, I know it's my responsibility and my choice. You
Absolutely.
know?
You still have a choice, even though everything is possible, you still get to make your choice. That's what's so great about it, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I love that. I think everybody can really relate to that in one way or another. But let's talk about food, because it's 5:25 and I am hungry.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I have to talk about food.
So, you know, I'm usually eating early. So I'm like, I'm going to be hungry. It's really gloomy outside. I need to have energy. So right before, I made my hot chocolate, and it does have animal product. It has a collagen, which to me, you know, collagen is a byproduct. When people used to throw out bones from animals that they would eat. So I feel like at least it gives integrity to the animal as a whole. And it's a chocolate collagen mixed with dandy blend, which is a coffee substitute. So it gives it richness, and some oat milk. And it has a lot of protein, and it's hot. I'm like almost done with it. Can you see it?
I can, a little bit.
Well,
I can see the pebbles. I can see the pebbles.
Yeah, but hot chocolate, because I'm cold right now. I have my windows open, and that's been my savior. You know, when it's cold and it's like this time where you are hungry, but you don't want to eat too much because you're gonna have dinner soon. But you need protein, something warm, something chocolatey, and so this is my go-to.
Yeah, and something that's easily digestible, right?
Exactly. It's just yeah.
So I want to talk about food, and you know, and I always want to talk to you about this because because you're a chef and you've been a chef for 10 years, you've you've done some speaking, you've written a book, and I just
Two,
kind of
two now.
2 books. Oh my gosh, I'm so behind. I would like, I just want to give the audience, the general idea of like basically your philosophy as a chef and the relationship with food. So if I wanted to, if I was a client of yours, this is our first time meeting, like, hey, take care of me, what would you tell me? What kinds of things would you want me to understand? And what could I expect, as a client from you that, that I could, be nutritiously fulfilling my body and being happy and having a good relationship with food where I'm eating and enjoying and, everything that food provides us, not just like feel guilty afterwards or something like that. So
Yeah.
I would love to hear your philosophy.
So do you follow any sports?
Absolutely, yes.
What's your favorite sport?
The one sport that I follow the most is basketball.
Okay, basketball. So if you think of basketball players, right, they know that they need to get the ball into the basket, right? That's the goal,
Yeah.
right? And the further they are, the more points they score, right? And they need to make sure that the other team doesn't get the ball. And even those multimillionaires of basketball players, they have coaches. They know that the ball goes from here to there, right? And it's the same with food. I'm a coach, I'm a food relationship coach. So you already know if you're coming to me that you need to eat better. Nobody comes to me, they're like, I don't know. Like, yeah, you want to get from point A to point B, meaning you are feeling sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. You might have health ailments, low energy, weight gain, disease, whatever it is. And you want to get to point B where you don't have those diseases. You're feeling energetic, you're feeling thinner, you have vitality, you're reversing aging, right? So you know where you want to go. And as a coach, my job is to figure out what's your game, how are you eating right now, because you're playing the game of food 3 times a day, sometimes 5 times a day. Right now, with a lockdown, probably much more. Figuring out what are your moves and how can we make that journey from point A to point B pleasant, fun, easy. And everybody's journey is different. I use a lot of metaphors. So I trademarked a phrase, couture nutrition, which means couture is tailored to the body, tailor-made. And I do the same with food, where everything is made for you. So you are in real estate, you're busy, you're out and about a lot, you might not have a lot of time, you live alone. So those things will consider, how do we make the plan of action for you to get to your health goals? And how do we make it work for you, fit your personality, fit where you live, fit how you live your life when you're working, fit your life when you're on a weekend, when you're going hiking, what are the great snacks, what is going to be supporting you, what kind of foods you love that love you back, finding the perfect match. So it's like matchmaker, coach, and therapist at the same time, because unfortunately, we're human. Fortunately, unfortunately, we have feelings and thoughts, and our past conditions when we were kids affect us so much. And food is always connected to those things. You were good, here's a cookie. You were bad, have to eat your salad or whatever. Emotional eating. A lot of people have different feelings attached to food. They think pizza is good and salad is bad. I don't know where that came from. As a baby, you loved strawberries, but something happened. So we unravel all those things, figure out the conditioning, the relationship. Food to a lot of people is love. And if they're missing the love, they're going to eat the food. That's why a lot of women lose weight when they start meeting somebody, because they are not eating the food because now they have the love. But again, it's codependence. You have to love yourself, right? So we talk about self-love a lot. And I help clients to find that love for themselves, because most people don't love the way they are. So, it's not one size fits all. And so I work with clients with that and figure out, okay, what is going to be the best of possible first step. Everybody's different, for everybody's different. So
great. Well, so first I want to say We've got a lot of people on here watching us, and if you guys have any questions for Alina, please go ahead and put them in the comments.
Yeah, I would love to answer questions.
Yeah, if you're watching this live, just go ahead and put the word live in the comments. But if you're watching the replay, just go ahead and put replays in the comments. And if you're watching replay and you have questions, feel free to either comment in the post, or you can also, there's information on how to reach Alina as well if you want to reach out, if it's personal, but I totally love that. I am in real estate, and everybody who works in real estate never has any time, and I never have any time. And but I love cooking. I love cooking, and anybody who's followed, my profile, my pages, and stuff like that, know that I put on my cooking videos. I don't do it as often as I like, but every time I cook, it's at least a 3-hour affair.
Oh my God.
At least I have to hey, everything is done from scratch, it's thought to table.
Oh my God,
so
wow.
I think of it oh, what do I feel like? What do I want? And I start dreaming about oh, I want this comfort food, but I have to have it this way, and it has to be made this way. If it's something that's soupy for wintertime or something like that, but it has to have this ingredient or that ingredient, and I gotta have organic. So I go off on this tangent, I gotta go to this store, and then I gotta go to that store. Oh, on the way there, I can pick up this. Oh, wouldn't it be great if I can top it with this? So I go on this little journey, and I come back, and I think about it, and then anything that would soup. So recently, I started making chicken stock from scratch.
Oh wow, amazing.
Yeah, I started doing that, and I started to think how much I love it, because before this, I had been buying bone broth and chicken stock and stock in general from restaurants, because I like those restaurants and like the way they make their soup. So I have to ask for it separated, because it's not always on the menu.
Yeah.
So I ask for it and I take it home, but I cherish it like it's a precious commodity or something. I try to make it last. I freeze it and I use it. I try to not use it too much, and so now that I'm making my own broth, I could make it once a week. I have more than enough for what I want. So that's one thing that I really love, but it took a long time, because I would have to collect bones and collect vegetables scraps and stuff like that, and kind of a pre-planned thing. But I literally, if I didn't have a job, I'd probably start thinking about dinner at 2 o'clock and eat at 6, and probably watch TV till 7 and then go to bed.
Well, I think about food a little too much, because I think about food for my clients. I think about what I need to make. And when I cook for myself, it's super quick. Everything I make within 15-30 minutes, because I already have my strategies. I'm I can do this, I can do this. I have a shop. The way I shop, it's a strategy. The way I know the stores, where I need to get, the way I do my list. So I teach people all of that. When I do tours, I do shopping tours with my clients. Not sure how we can do it now with the social distancing, but I do tours. People whoa, you do so quickly. But yeah, there's a way. But if you're passionate about it, and if the time is okay for you, 3 hours of doing something you love, it's art. The other day, I was making something for my clients with chicken, and they didn't have chicken breast, so I had to buy chicken on the bone. And then before I was going to throw out the bone, I realized I needed chicken stock for a soup. And I was oh, I can just make my own stock, because they were out of stock when this whole crazy shortages started at the stores. So I was oh yeah, you forget. But I make, when I do make soups on purpose, that day I wasn't planning on making a soup because I didn't have the stock, but I was oh, wait a minute, I can make a soup. Yeah, so it all depends, prioritizing. Sometimes I buy really good bone broth. Sometimes I make it. It depends on the time too, because you want to have the bone broth, you want to have it simmer for 24 hours. So you don't always have the time to leave it on.
Yeah, not always. So what I've learned is that you get to choose the type of soup, the type of stock that you want to make. You can make a light one, or you can make darker, more richer one by cooking it longer. Sometimes you can take those ingredients. If you're making light ones, you can reuse them for another light stock that you can make later. You just freeze them so that it doesn't spoil anything.
Freezing is, by the way, the best thing, because
I
then if
know.
you make your broth in advance and you freeze them in containers or bags, eco-friendly bags, then you can make it your dinner so quickly. I have so many things in my freezer.
I know. So a lot of my food relationship background is because my grandfather was a executive chef in
Oh,
China, and he was working for the government. So it's like, executive high-end stuff. And then during the revolution, he moved, escaped the revolution and went to Taiwan, and that's where my grandmother was, and that's where they, made a life there in Taiwan. And I remember as a child, for as long as I can remember, since I was born, that every day and Sunday's always big feast, that he would go into this tiny little kitchens, literally the size of like a half bathroom, like no shower or stuff. And he would just cook up a storm in there, and we'll have like the best meals ever. And there's meals like throughout the entire day, always Saturdays and Sundays.
mm,
And so there's always food around me. So when I go a while without that feeling and that type of atmosphere, I feel not myself. I feel like something is wrong. So I always
mm,
have to, like, at least a couple of times a week, I have to make that happen,
yeah.
somehow. And then there's always some sort of experimenting. And more recently, like in the last couple of years, I start to remember the things that my grandparents made. And so I start to kind of go back to my roots and like, oh, this is how you make this and that and the other. But I still remember like what it looks like, what it smells like, what it tastes like. So
Yeah.
even though I'm getting recipe from somewhere else, I'm like dressing it up differently to like make it fit my own memory.
Yeah, well, it's that's so important because food is love, right? And you loved your grandfather and you loved the family time, and so you cooking brings that to you, absolutely. And food, people think like food is just food, but it's the most intimate thing you can have because like it goes into every cell of your body. Like everything you eat becomes your cells, your organs, your tissue. It becomes your thoughts. If you eat a steak, you think differently than after you eat a salad. So when you cook for yourself and you put so much love because you're bringing love from your ancestors, and you're like cooking with your grandfather essentially because his energy is there with you,
Yeah.
it infuses the food. And that's why I never play anything but happy music when I cook. I always have like inspirational happy music. I don't talk about anything that's not happy around the food, because all that energy that's around the food will go into the food. So I always talk about happy things and think happy
Mhm.
thoughts, nourishing thoughts, whether I cook for my clients or for myself. So it's so important to have that love from uh, from your childhood come into your life into now.
Yeah. Yeah. And more so as I'm getting older for some reasons, like it's coming back to me. And so I'm really, really enjoying it. We have a question.
Yeah.
Um, Michelle Courts, she asked, what would you suggest are the easiest veggies to grow at home when I am limited on space? I have a small patio.
I would go for that garden, the tower. I can't remember the aquaponics tower. I think it's called like the tower. You can look it up. But it's a vertical tower, and you just put water and the seeds, and it grows tomatoes, greens. I think greens are the easiest thing to grow because they grow pretty fast, and you just replenish the water. And greens is the number one missing thing in our diets. For most people, greens is missing. And greens, right now it's so important to think about it. If you look at a leaf, the way the vessels are, or if you look at a tree, it looks like lungs. And if you think about it, the trees give us the oxygen that we breathe. And right now with the pandemic, it's a respiratory disease. So supporting the lungs is so important. And because greens have chlorophyll, the green in them is chlorophyll, it's molecularly structured close to the blood. So it actually purifies your blood. So you're getting a double whammy there, the blood purification and the lung support. Plus, it has a lot of fiber, so it moves things through you, and it supports your liver, and your liver is the biggest detox organ. So it's like you're getting quadruple whammy, having all of that nutrition from just a leaf. It's so important. So I would say leaves, greens, grow that if you can on a vertical tower. And I think it's like I don't remember how much it is exactly, but it pays off in a couple of months because you spend so much less money on produce, and you have your own greens. So yeah, I would
Yeah,
suggest.
I know what you're talking about. It's a really cool thing, and it's not very expensive. And the reason it's vertical is because you can grow a lot of things along that vertical, so
Exactly,
you can
exactly,
save a ton of space. And you
exactly.
can order it from Amazon. They'll just ship it right to you. It's easy to put together. To give you instructions. And I've seen people grow strawberries and then herbs and then like lettuce and then like so.
Yeah.
This whole thing is basically it's like a light stand.
Yep.
You just put outside in your patio and it'll grow like crazy. I mean, you can
Yep.
grow peppers, you can grow all kinds of stuff. I saw this guy, he grew a basil. He bought one of these, those single basil plant that you can buy from the
Yeah.
grocery store, and like you're just supposed to like pick off of it while it's alive and just eat it, and then like most people just like toss it out.
Yeah.
He like, okay, you can cut these branches this way and this way, and you take those branches, you put it in the water, and you can make like 6 more from that one plant,
Yeah.
from the branches of them, and then those grow, and then you cut those, and then you can get like 20 more.
Yeah.
Like super easy. Like he had it like on YouTube for like a 5-minute YouTube video. You can just like grow anything. So get one of those towers.
Yeah.
Put your food in there. It's super easy. You don't have to dig up planters or anything like that. It's like all ready to go.
Yeah. I love greens. Honestly, like greens at every meal. That's my rule. And if I cannot have greens at breakfast, like if I don't feel like chewing greens, I have greens in my shakes. But yeah, greens is the number one thing I would suggest growing for sure.
Yeah, super great question. Thank you, Michelle. So I want to kind of just summarize a little bit. Like if I'm too busy and I wanted somebody to like you to prepare meals for me and get things done, like if this is our first time, meeting, this is our first consultation, like what kinds of questions will you ask me and how would like I get started?
Well, I'm booked right now with clients to cook for, so I cannot take new clients. I can only take new clients for coaching. But I would start out asking, what are your favorite foods? It all starts there. Like, what are your favorite foods? You like pizza, you like Mexican food, you like, tacos or burritos, you like burgers, steak, whatever it is, right? We make a list of all of your favorite foods, and then I make them healthier. That's my job. So my clients will say, I'm craving on a pasta or whatever, or tacos. I'll make the best possible tacos that they want. If they want animal protein tacos, I'll get the organic, humanely raised, pasture raised meat, and then the best organic tortillas and the best organic cheese. If they want to go plant-based, I'll get the best plant-based meat, the best cheese, the best shells that are gluten-free or whatever. If they want to go raw vegan, then I make the raw vegan meat for the tacos, and I make the raw vegan wraps for the tacos, and the raw vegan cheese and the sour cream and all that stuff. So it really depends on what the clients love. What do you love? And how far do you want to go with making it as healthy as possible and still keep the taste? Because the taste will be there. Like the raw vegan tacos I make sometimes, they're so good. It's so hard to stop, but because they're so filling and they're so fresh, like your body just tells you, okay, I've had enough, and then like you get hungry later and you eat more. So
Great,
yeah.
great.
So we always start with your favorite foods. We never take anything out. I never take anything out. If somebody says I love milkshakes and burgers, I'm like, great, we'll have milkshakes and burgers every day. But the ones that love you back, because I don't want you to be in an abusive relationship, and neither do you, because you wouldn't hire me if you did. So people want to keep the taste, they want to keep the emotional connection with the food, and they want to feel good afterwards. And that's what I do.
Mm-hmm. So they can get some initial consultations and maybe see if coaching is a good fit for them. You provide some guidance and kind of exploratory things about what they enjoy, and then kind of go with what their enjoyment are, but do it perhaps maybe in a more healthy, more nutritious way to help their health and things
Yeah.
like that. So
It's about win-win. I don't want people to settle for less. I don't want people to be eating food that they love, but they feel shitty afterwards. And I don't want people to be eating food that they don't like and then be like, oh, that was so gross. Why did I even bother? That's not love either. Feeling like a caged bird, you just have to eat a certain way. I want people to have freedom and things they love and things that love them together.
So you'll help also provide them recipes with, you know,
Oh yeah.
ingredients and that kind of
Yeah,
things.
I
And so,
create custom recipes. My big specialty is, you know, vegan, plant-based, gluten-free, dairy-free, allergen-free. So a lot of people say, well, I want this, but I cannot have this, I cannot have that. So how do I do that? So I always come up with really cool custom ways to get that. And I create the recipes for my clients. We do video calls twice a week, twice a month, the long calls, and then twice a month shorter calls. So every week we have contact, and then we do video cooking classes or in-person cooking classes, but you know, right now it's not really relevant. But we do classes all the time, cooking, and it's very hands-on.
great.
Yeah.
I think it's super important, you know, what you said, you know, um, the relationship you have with food, you have to have every single day. And there's no need to suffer, you
Yeah.
know, through those kinds of things. And I know that a lot of times we're not always the best. Um, we don't always treat ourselves the best. So
Yeah.
something doesn't feel good, something doesn't feel right, I'm not feeling good, you sort of are punishing yourself, you know. So to have somebody like you who is available to help guide, you know, what could be, I mean, couldn't you could feel 100 times better just by changing a couple of things,
Yeah.
and you can still get fulfilled with the things that you really crave, but in a nutritious way. So I think it's super important. Everybody, if I had my way, like everybody should have their own chef, right?
You know what? When I was thinking, like, when I make millions and millions, I will train somebody to cook the way I cook, and then make them cook for me. But I think it's also the energy, you know, it's not just the food, because if you follow the recipe but you don't put the right intention, or if you don't feel the right way, it affects the food. And yeah, a lot of people don't love themselves, they're too hard on themselves, because I think they know their potential is so much higher. Everybody knows how much they're capable of doing, but it's
Right,
scary, you know, it's
right,
scary to do it alone.
right,
And trying something new alone, it's super scary. So having a coach tell you what to do, how to do it, support you, be there for you, I think is very, very important. And I used to have a coach too, you know, when I started out. We're not, you know, icebergs or whatever, islands. No man is an island, right? We're all humans, we need connection, we need support. So
very
yeah.
cool. So a little recap. We talked about some entrepreneurship
Yeah.
and your amazing journey and your your advice to people to follow their dreams, which obviously you have, and I think a lot of people could could use that advice and follow their own dreams to make that happen, because ultimately that will make you happy, right? So
Yeah.
and then we talked about um, you know, just basically, you know, what food does for you, and that it is the most important relationship that you can have. You start eating the moment you are born until the day you die, you know, and so it's super important for people to really remind themselves of that and not take it for granted, and not just, you know, eat junk food just because you're short of time, or just because, you know, you have to care, you have to really, you know, love yourself. And um, the food the food coaching that you provide can help guide people, you know,
Yeah.
to do that. And lastly, you know, all of this, whether you're getting help from Alina, whether you are trying to grow a, you know, vegetable tower, it's all about self-love,
It
right?
all is, but it all comes from love. It really does. Love for you, love for your body, love for your planet, love for your loved ones. Because if you cannot, you know, have your own cup of self-love full, you cannot give it to others. You cannot love others fully. So yeah.
Yeah, great. So as per our show tradition, we always have a quote here that's provided by our guest. And today, Alina Z has a amazing quote for us. Would you please read it for us?
Yeah, that's actually the quote that's really spoke to me. If there is to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there is to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there is to be peace in the cities, there must be peace in the neighborhoods. Between neighbors. If there's peace to be in between neighbors, there must be peace at home. If there is to be peace in home, there must be peace in the heart. And it all comes from you. One heart, one person, all it takes. And if you think you cannot make a difference as one person, think how this pandemic started. One person takes one person. So we can reverse things. We can reverse so many things if just one person starts. And we all have to start somewhere. So start with your own heart. Another quote that I love, I'm just going to finish with that, from Aerosmith. They say, the light in the end of the tunnel might be you. So
amazing.
Thank you for being the light in the tunnel right now to create this space, Leo.
Yeah. I'm so glad you came on. I was like, oh gosh, I hope she's not too busy, or she's not. Well, I guess you can't travel right now, so it's good too. So it's good for the rest of us. We get to have you for just a little time, talk about food and talk about love and peace in the world. So how can everybody find out more about you? Can you give us a website and maybe where they can find your book, and how they can connect with you if they have some questions?
Of course. I'm Chef Alina Z on social media, and it's Chef, and then Alina Z on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then on YouTube, it's Alina Z Show on YouTube. But you can just look up Alina Z, Chef Alina Z, alinaz.com. I think anywhere you see Alina Z, you can, if you put it on Google, you'll get my information. And there's contact information on my website, or you just email me, alina@alinaz.com. So super, super simple. And the free ebook is really awesome. Actually, I put so much effort in it because it has all the cheapest ingredients listed and what their benefits are and how much they cost per whatever serving is. And then recipes that are easy, super important, that are not expensive, super important, that taste good, and you actually treat yourself. So, and it's free because so many people have lost their jobs and they are sitting at home. So we all need support. So I wanted to create that. So just download that at alinaz.com under books.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing the peace. Thank you for bringing great advice on food and life. I'm so appreciative of your friendship and you being gracious to come on and offer so much value.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, Leo. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, everyone. Hope you enjoy that. There's a lot of great stuff in there. If you want to replay it, please do. They'll be up in my profile. So until then, I will see you next time. Bye, Alina.
Bye.